I'm Jay Shepard and welcome to my 5-video series, A Clean Sweep. This will be a series devoted to the art of sweep picking. If you're brand new to sweep picking or you've never heard of it, this video is probably not for you. But if you have, get ready to learn a whole lot. The first thing I'd like to look at are some short, compact sweep picking patterns that cover 2 strings. I think it's important to start with a few amount of strings, 2 being the least you can have, so you can really develop the fundamentals and transfer these skills into larger sweeps. There are 3 concepts I'll explain during this first example of 2-string sweep picking that you need to be able to apply and take to your other examples that you learn in this series. So let's go ahead and take a look. That first example was probably the first time I'd ever seen sweep picking in guitar literature. I was learning Yngwie Malmsteen's Trilogy Suite and I encountered this similar kind of pattern. It drove me nuts for about a month and I couldn't really get any headway on it. But then I discovered a practice technique I'm going to show you now. It involves muting the strings with your left hand, like this, and just playing the sweep pick pattern with your right hand in rhythm, with a metronome preferably. Let's take a look at one of these muted examples of practice. I believe an exercise like that is paramount to developing your sweep picking technique. After all, if you're trying to coordinate 2 hands together, how do you know which one is right or wrong when you mess up? The only way to do this is to establish a strong right hand so you can always lean on it and depend on it knowing that it's the right thing. The next thing I'd like to look at is shifting the accent of a sweep pick pattern. Usually these patterns are very repetitious and repeat fairly often in the same kinds of patterns. One way you can help even out the pattern is to put the second note of the pattern, or in this case even the third note of the pattern, on the downbeat. Let's take a look at an example of that where I put the second note of the pattern on the downbeat. A third way you want to practice these sweeps is you want to be very mindful of the lengths of the note that your left hand is playing. As your right hand articulates each note, you want to be sure that the previous note cuts off right before you play the next one. You want the notes to be very close together, but at the same time not overlapping. And on the other hand, you don't want them to be too separated or choppy either. So let's look at a couple examples of bad playing and an example of good playing. Now let's apply all these techniques into a short etude or study of this 2-string sweep picking pattern. It'll take you through several arpeggios and inversions in the key of A minor. So let's take a look. The next example features what I call pure sweep picking, in which no motion is wasted in the strings. You won't see any pickups of the pick, it will just literally rake back and forth through 2 sets of strings, creating a rhythm of 4 different notes. Let's take a look at this first example. Also notice in this example the movement in my left hand forefinger, how it rocks gently back and forth to separate the note on the 7th fret. sure and take advantage of the muted string practice as we encouraged on the last example. That will really help the rhythmic accuracy of this one. Also, now let's take a look at a shifted accent example of this same pattern. Remember, this is just the first of the shifted accents you could do. You could also place the third and the fourth note on the beat instead. So here's the second note on the beat. Let's look at an etude utilizing this two-string pure sweep picking. It uses pedal point. Also, it has a nice little modulation in it you might like, and then it returns back to the original key. Check it out. Let's look at one more etude on this two-string sweep picking. It uses pull-offs on the A and the D string too, so it can be hard to coordinate the left and the right hands together. Also pay special attention to the last few measures. The pattern breaks from the usual. Thanks a lot for tuning in to my first installment of A Clean Sweep. Be sure and tune in next week and we'll discover some three-string sweeping patterns. See you then.